Good morning, my brothers and sisters. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not reading through the Bible together in 2023 this morning. I'm just going to share you some good words from God's holy word that He gave me exactly 9 years and 2 weeks ago. Job chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus did Job continually. That was back in the days of the law, and Job kept their sins covered with sacrifices. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Friends, beware of Satan coming along also among the what did he call them? The sons of God. And the Lord said unto Satan, "Whence comest thou?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." And y'all, he is still going to and fro along the earth, walking up and down in it, seeking those whom he may devour. And the Lord said unto Satan, "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feared God and escheweth evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made a hedge around him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? That hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land? But put forth thine hand," this is still Satan talking to God, "put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face." The Lord answered Satan, said, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So God has given Satan to attack Job, the man who feared God and eschewed evil. Only put not your hand on Job himself. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And dear Christian friend, that is something we better never, ever in our life do, is go from the presence of the Lord. That's not in the Bible. That's just from this old bald-headed redneck. You go away from the presence of the Lord and you're going to be in deep doo-doo. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and only I am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up your sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon your camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they were dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down on the ground and worshipped. Job had just lost everything, including his children. And his response, my friends, right here in verse 20 of Job chapter 1 says, Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. If you had lost everything you own, including your children, would that have been your response? Verse 21, Job said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Exactly, I told you at the beginning of the video, exactly 9 years and 2 weeks ago, God gave me that chapter to read for my morning Bible readings. I never knew why he gave me anything. Exactly 9 years ago this morning, around 6 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting outside like I did every morning before the sun come up, praying, spending time with God, waiting for him to give me his word. He gave me Job chapter 1 again. And I chuckled. I said, Father, are you getting old and senile? Did you forget you just gave me that chapter 2 weeks ago? He said nothing. He didn't respond to me. So I read it. I read it again, just like I did 2 weeks before. Two or 3 hours later, I don't remember what time it was. It's around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. I got a phone call that my daughter had died. And then I knew why God had given it to me 2 weeks before. And that morning, early that morning, Job's response was, in verse 20, he arose, rent his mantle, shaved his head, fell down on the ground, and worshiped. That's what I had to do. I didn't rent my mantle because I don't even know what a mantle is, and I don't think I ever owned one in my life. I was already shaving my head. I was so crippled I couldn't fall. If I fell down on the ground, I'd need 2 or 3 guys to help pick me up. But I worshiped, and I worshiped, and I worshiped. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. Nothing I have obtained on earth is going with me to heaven. Nothing. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Nothing is ours, y'all. God gives us stuff we need as we need it. But it's not ours, it's all His. I had 32 wonderful years with my daughter. I remember like it was this morning, the moment she was born. I was in there. The nurse was the first person to hold my daughter, and I was the second one. When she was in her mother's womb for 9 months, I would put my face next to her mother's stomach and sing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." When she was born, she was crying and fussing and causing a calamity in the delivery room. And I started singing, "You are my sunshine," and she got quiet. She knew the Lord. She was raised in church just like I was. Just like I was. She got wild and crazy in her adult life. But thank God he got a hold of her and straightened her out before she got sick and died. She served the Lord. And I know where her soul is for all eternity. And that makes me happy. But y'all, I miss her. She would call me and talk. That girl could talk. We lived like 3 hours apart, and she would call me and talk for at least an hour every time, sometime 2 or 3 hours. She just talked, and she didn't talk slow either. I told her she should be an auctioneer because she talk. I miss her. I miss her a lot. But that's this morning's video, y'all. Don't take anything for granted because it all belongs to the Lord, and at any moment he can take it home. The Lord taketh, the Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. When he got news of his children being killed, his response was he fell down on the ground and worshiped. God does not make mistakes ever. A lot of stuff he does in our lives we do not understand, but God did not make a mistake. Fall down on the ground and worship.